Hey Apprentice Squad, cutting circles in EVA foam by hand. If you've ever tried this, you know how complicated it can be. But in today's Apprentice Clip, I'll be showing you a super easy technique that I've found to be able to cut out near perfect circles by hand in EVA foam. Stay tuned. Alright, so here we go. Here's a good look at what I'm talking about. So I need to cut this circle out, but I need it to be a perfect cut circle where I can reuse both pieces because I need to then push this circle in. I already cut this one out. Push this circle in and glue it in so I have a nice little indented look. There's a couple things you want to consider. One is the type of EVA foam you're using. Now, this partially depends because of the thickness of the EVA foam that you're using. A lot of times with floor mat foams and other EVA foams, you have to use a thicker EVA foam to get the rigidity and the hold that you want for your piece, your prop or costume or armor piece. With WTF What the Foam, you can use a 4mm foam and get the same hold as you could get from a 10 or a 12mm EVA foam. That goes a long ways in helping you be able to get those perfect circle cuts. The thickness helps, but also it's so much more dense and durable that it actually gives you a lot cleaner cuts with your blade as well. So that's something to consider. The next thing is you need to make sure that you've got a good sharp knife. So this is the my dope knife. Check out our video on making one blade last forever. Okay, the third is, check out right here, you want to get yourself a nice perfect circle to begin with. Don't try to hand draw it. If at all possible, try to use a compass or something else, or even just take something that is round that's about the shape that you want and or the size that you want, trace around that, because having a good clean line is going to help to be able to do this as well. Okay? All right, so I've got a nice scrap piece for us to try this on and show you. So you want a nice perfect circle. Like I said, you can just trace around something like this. The finer the line that you trace around it is going to be the better as well. So I'm going to try to use my fine-tipped. And when you're tracing around something, keep in mind that the interior of that line is probably going to be your best bet. So, okay, so the big thing for cutting out the circle is you're going to just start at the point, pick a point, plunge your blade in. The smaller the diameter of the circle, the smaller the circle is, the higher you'll want to keep your blade tipped up. If you tip it down and it's a small little circle, you're going to be kind of cutting out an outer edge that you don't need or start to get a bevel going. So because this one's relatively small, I'm going to actually tip it up a little bit more than I usually would, just to keep a nice straight up and down angle for cutting here. And keep this blade steady and straight, and just keep an eye on this being in line with the cut. So here we go. Then the rest of the work is done with your other hand. So you'll just be pulling the foam into the blade. So your one hand just keeps it perfectly still, and the other hand does the work of pulling the foam into the blade. And then nice and easy, just take your time with this, go nice and slow, and voila, there you go. I mean, so for cutting that out by hand, that is a pretty good circle. And it's relatively clean all the way through. You can reuse this piece, right in here, and then do that as an inset piece, and you're doing pretty well. All right, so that's how you can cut out near perfect circles by hand. Let's review. So the foam that you use is super important. You want a nice sharp blade. Try to start off with as perfect drawn of a circle as possible with a nice thin line to be able to reference so that your eye has something to follow. And then lastly, plant your cutting hand and your other hand does all the work to pull the foam, rotate the foam into the blade as you go through your circle. Please let me know in the comments below if this video was helpful for you. Type circles in the comments below. Share this with somebody that you know this would help, that works with EVA foam and has had troubles cutting circles in the past. And help another cosplayer out. share this with them so that they can improve their skills as well and learn to cosplay like a boss and confidently create spot-on cosplays that'll impress their friends and stand out online or on the con floor. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Cosplay on, my friends. See you. Have you had troubles